right, folks. Hail and hello. Welcome to today's live stream. Hope you're all doing well. Yes. Hope you're all doing well. Hi there, Sarah on YouTube. Hail and hello. If anybody's watching, wherever you're watching from, just drop a comment down below. Love to hear from you. Let's see here. We'll play a little bit of background music, why don't we? So hope you're all having a great Friday evening or Saturday morning or wherever it is you are in Midgard. Hope it's been a good one. Hope it's been a good week for you. Just out here chilling a little bit. Figured I'd come on here, talk to you, let you know about some things that are coming up for us here in the Middle Tennessee area. Hello from Orlando. What's up, John? Good to have you back. Thank you. And hello, Michael from Kentucky, just a little bit north of me here. Thank you guys for tuning in, guys and gals. If you have any questions, feel free to pop them down below, but I'm just going to jump in and just kind of let you know a little bit of some things that are coming up here in the very near future in the Middle Tennessee or surrounding areas. Here in Murfreesboro on the 10th of September, you look up the General Bragg Trailhead. It's like a public pavilion area with a sheltered pavilion. It's got bathrooms. It's got a playground for the kids. We are going to have an introductory class on heathenry. Myself and Greg Strong from the Raven Moon Hearth Kindred are going to be posted up at the pavilion for the afternoon, starting at 3 p.m. Central Time. So we will be there going over some introductory stuff on heathenry, heathenry 101 type stuff. What's up, Dragon Dancer? Hail and hello to you. So, he and I have done a lot of stuff together in terms of like events. Of course, he's the chieftain for Raven Moon Hearth. I am chieftain of the Clearity Folk Tribe here in Middle Tennessee. Very small group of a few folks here who, Germanic pagans. And him and I have done a few events together, but we're teaming up for this to share and offer some introductory stuff about heathenry to the people in our area. It's public. It's family friendly. So bring your children. The only thing you can't do there is, of course, drink alcoholic beverages because it is a public park, public area. So, you can't be getting all blitzed and stuff out there in the park. But it is nice. It is a covered pavilion, so rain or shine, we will be there. And he's got some, topics of discussion are probably going to be things around, like suggested reading, study material, the basics behind Germanic heathenry, the introduction to approaching and dealing with our gods and goddesses, the whites of the land and the home, and some of the terminologies and things that get mentioned in Germanic heathen circles and in groups, right? No meat or grog. Yeah, sorry, John. I mean, look, I every event that I've ever hosted there or anything that I've ever done in these locations we've never brought alcohol. I can't say that alcohol has never been present, but that is neither here nor there. We just can't make it too public or too much of a big thing. If we're going to have things, we need to be discreet about it. Hello, Vivian Sutherland. Man, I would love to go to that. We would love to have you. Depending on where you are, but if it's not too far of a drive or a trip, it is next Sunday, not this Sunday, the 3rd, next Sunday, the 10th. But yeah, it's an afternoon. We'll be there from 3 until the pavilion area closes, and they usually close it at dark, so 8 o'clock or so. Probably won't be there the whole time, but depends on how the conversations go and what gets done. And we just, never know what might happen. So we will be there for that. And then if you happen to miss the Heathenry 101 thing, or if it's just a little too far out, thank you, Luna. Your comment shows up. That usually means one of two things: either you sent gifts or a star or something. But I do want to acknowledge that. Thank you for acknowledging and being here on the live stream tonight. What's up, Scotty Gemini? Greetings from Tennessee. Well, greetings from Tennessee as well, as I am also in Tennessee. Colorado, yeah, it's a little bit of that would be a little bit of a trek. But there is something coming up here. Thank you, Luna. There is something coming up here in October that actually attracts people from all over the country. I know people that have come from as far as Ohio and Indiana and Alabama, and I think there's going to be people coming from Maryland or Pennsylvania this year to Shadow Moot. Shadow Moot is in Springfield, Tennessee. You've got the address here on your screen. There's also Facebook events for both of these things. So the Heathenry 101 class is it is hosted by myself and Greg. So if you're on Facebook, you can find it there. I usually post stuff about it on the Midgard Musings platforms as well. But Shadow Moot here is a Raven Moon Hearth hosted event. It is a public event. It happens every year. And it is their group's kind of Winter Nights equivalent celebration. So it is a weekend-long kind of primitive camping sort of thing. Admission for the weekend is $45, unless you want to just come for the day, which it's just a $20 admission for that. You pay at the gate. There is no advance tickets. So you just pay when you get there. If you're only going to come for one of the days that it's there, so it's October 13th through 15th, it's a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday sort of deal. If you are only going to come for one day, we highly suggest that you come to the Saturday date, so the 14th, because that's when everything happens. That's when they do all of their classes, their workshops, their games, the feasting, the ritual, which they have a hell bloat. So there's a ritual to hell. And so again, you can take the address down. You're welcome to come out for the weekend or just for the day. But those are some things that are coming down the pipeline here in the Middle Tennessee area. Yes, an event, Autumn. Just saw the banner. Okay, cool. I'm just catching up on the thing. So yes, if you're in Alabama and you come out to Springfield, Tennessee, there, it's Shadow Moot. You can also look for Shadow Moot on Facebook. There's a page for it, but then there's also an actual event for it. So you just look for Shadow Moot in Facebook, and you'll find the event. Not telling you about this, Farland. You're here, and thank you so much for jumping on here. I know I don't schedule these things out on the YouTube platform. I schedule them through a third-party app, so sometimes they don't speak to one another. The apps and the platforms don't always speak to one another. But thankfully, you're here and you got a chance to see it. So thank you. Great to have everybody. So yeah, just as a recap, this Sunday coming up on the 10th, there's going to be the Heathenry 101 or introductory class on Heathenry with Greg and myself. That's going to be here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee at the General Bragg Trailhead. And then in October on the 13th, 14th, and 15th, you can come out to Shadow Moot. So for many folks, this is a pretty big deal. People come again, for years at a time. They've been doing this now for I forget how many years. I know the Hearth itself has been in existence in various iterations for the bigger part of a decade. I think they're actually celebrating their 10th year as a group this year. They either just celebrated 10-year anniversary or they're having their 10th year anniversary. It might be this Shadow Moot that's their 10th year. I'm blanking a little bit on the timelines, but they've been doing it for a long time. And it attracts people and it brings people from all around the state and the surrounding states, but also elsewhere. Like I mentioned, there's people that come from as far away as like Ohio, and I think there's somebody coming down from Pennsylvania, which is no short trek. I know Colorado and that's a little bit longer, but my wife and I will be there for Saturday for sure. We're not going to be spending the whole weekend there, but they have vendors, right? They have craftspeople, they have workshops, lesson classes, games, the feasting, the ritual itself, and then after everything's said and done, people can go their separate ways. They can hang around for some drumming and stuff around the fire, the communal fire. I have a couple of things that I'm going to be, well, I don't want to say a couple of things. I have one thing that I've been asked to do for, um, I'm not going to say the ritual because I don't participate as a, I mean, I go to the ritual, right? I'm participating to that degree. I'm just not part of the ritual party. But I have been asked by Greg to do something for like around their communal fire. All right. Pacific Northwest Washington, Dingo Lightfoot. What's up, man? Thank you for tuning in and watching today's live stream. Hello to, sorry, they're Feisty. Hello, Feisty. And hello to everybody. So Kindred's in Memphis, turned 5 this year. Oh, you're Three Bridges Kindred then. Very cool. You guys have been doing great stuff with the Hearth in out there in I think the Brighton area, right? So very well. I'm very glad to see that tribes are connecting in this way. So hail to you out there in Memphis, Three Bridges Kindred. Her Liberty folk, my tribe, we're still small. We're still, you know, just a couple of years old, if you want to say that. But we are looking to again put more of ourselves out in a public sort of way to let people know that in our area there's something that can be done. One of the founders, very cool. Well, congratulations on your anniversary of 5 years this year. That's a big milestone. Congratulations. And welcome to the live stream. What's going on over here, or how's it going, and what's new over here, Dingo? Well, like I mentioned, what's new is the Heathenry class that's coming up here next Sunday, and then Shadow Moot. I mean, that's the biggest thing really to announce. Great to meet some extended folks there in Brighton. Yeah, and what the things that Jared and them are doing out there at the Raven Moon Hearth West location, right? Like the Raven Moon Hearth is based in this area of Tennessee, but they have their branch in West Tennessee in Brighton, near where you guys are, and they're just following the progress of what they're doing out there, the building up of the land and cleaning it up, and just what they're sharing on social media. It's really, really impressive, and it's great to see, like I said, all of you connecting in that way. And maybe one day we'll all have a chance to meet, you know, us out here, Liberty folk. I'd love to pile up in a car or vehicle and get us out to Memphis area, you know. The old 931 area code, right? But as far as anything else new going on, not a whole heck of a lot. I am, let me see here. No, shush. I am also going to be going out to North Carolina later this year for a sort of closed off event. So in terms of, you know, asking about things like what's new, I've got I think I've shared a little bit about it on my personal Facebook here. Fire on the Mountain. This is our 2nd year returning to Fire on the Mountain. I'm looking forward to that a lot. Trying to come out and meet y'all. Life keeps happening. Oh, we totally get it, you know. But when it's supposed to happen, it'll happen, you know. The thing I always say is we don't force things to happen. Let them happen organically, naturally. Have a purpose and be driven to do things, but don't stress it if it doesn't happen like right when and where you want it to. Feisty's also from Michigan. Shadowmoot does sound great. Yeah, absolutely. It is. Again, it happens every year in October, and depending on their schedule, they always announce it usually a year in advance. So if you, again, find Shadowmoot on Facebook, I always try to announce in the months ahead about its upcoming dates. So if you're not on Facebook and you follow me here on YouTube, you can probably find information about it from me when and as I get it. But it will be a returning thing. It is a recurring event. So, just keep it in mind. They really go all out with it. It's It's well thought out. The ritual is beautifully presented. It's just a great time. They have so many different people that come out for this. Pacific Northwest Wolfpack Kindred, very cool. Dingo, not familiar with them, but I hope that goes well for you. 3 weeks ago in the PNW Wolfpack Kindred. That's great. I've seen a lot of, well, now, I've seen enough of folks in that region, the Pacific Northwest of the United States, that suggests to me that there is a pretty vibrant heathen presence. They have the North, I think it's the Northwoods Kindred. I think they're up in Washington or Oregon or somewhere. If you guys aren't following Northwoods Kindred on YouTube, please check them out. They do share a lot of their I don't think they overshare too much of like their ritual stuff, but they do share plenty of things on their YouTube channel, and have a really good production about it that gives you a glimpse and an insight as to how a well-ordered and well-structured kindred or tribe behaves and functions. Consider yourselves a confederation of many other tribes. Yeah, now the Northwoods Kindred, I know they are I believe, if I remember correctly, like they are their own standalone thing, but they kind of came out of the Gjallarhorn Kindred out of like San Diego or somewhere. I think, again, I know from what I've watched on their YouTube channel, and I've reached out to Bodvar, I think he goes by, their Gothi, to try to get him on the podcast. We're going to do it. We're going to get him or them, depending on, again, how it all goes. We're going to get them on the podcast one of these days, Random Heathen Ramblings podcast one of these days. It's just when I reached out to him initially, I was booked up on shows for like a month almost, and I was just kind of putting my feelers out there and going, hey, heard you guys, love what you do. Your content's awesome. Would you be interested in coming onto the podcast? Which they replied yes, and there's going to just be like a learning curve to get them into the doing things remotely, because I think they have a podcast themselves. I think it's him and his son. So I think it's Bodvar and their son, who goes by Thorleaf now, and their podcast is, again, NWK, right? Northwoods Kindred. So the Northwoods Kindred podcast. But if you go on YouTube, search Northwoods Kindred, you'll find them. So they do like their own in-person podcast, but we're gonna hopefully get them out there on the Random Heathen Ramblings podcast too. Yeah, Dingo, they're everywhere. Unfortunately, it's like mold. It just grows everywhere. So, fortunately, here in the Middle Tennessee area, that presence has not really infiltrated any of the groups that I've become involved with. I know it's around, and I know it's present, but we do make it pretty obvious that things like that are not welcome in the groups that we associate ourselves with. We have a zero tolerance policy for hatred, bigotry, and of any sort or fashion. So we don't tolerate it. We don't put up with it. We don't welcome it. And so I think that statement alone is if anybody has an inkling or an idea of that being part of their repertoire of life, they would just do well to stay away from us. Kindreds in Michigan that I know of, feisty. I don't have any off the top of my head that I am keenly aware of. If I find anything out, I'll try to share it around, but here's the thing, like I'm so focused on what's going on in my area and the surrounding areas, and looking to branch out, network and stuff regionally and locally, that I haven't just over the years, I haven't encountered anybody up in that area. I know Ohio, Northwest. Is it Northwest Ohio? Hold on. Eagle Valley. This is a group. If you're on Facebook, I'm going to put it down here in the comments for you all to call it. Oh, Southwest Ohio. Sorry, not Northwest Ohio. So Southwest Ohio is an inclusive heathenry group, right? So I know that's a link that you're going to see, but if you're watching this on the platforms, just go down into the comments. That's the link to the group. They're called Eagle Valley, Southwest Ohio Inclusive Heathenry. Good group of folks. Roger and Heidi Beth Abney do a lot with that group, and there's other active people that there's a lot of active folks in that group that are a part of their kindred. So they may have connections to folks up by you there, Feisty, up in the Michigan area, since you guys are kind of neighbors. States meaning, I mean, you know what I mean, the neighboring states. They don't understand the pie, man. Well, I love pie, you know, apple mainly. But yeah, but I know what you mean. Remote in the UP. Yeah, you guys are way up there, man. Up there in the UP. But again, just because they have a thing in Southwest Ohio doesn't mean that they don't know of or network. I'm just, you know, the first thing that came to mind was something close to you. So feel free to you know, join the group and see if they have any answers for you. Doesn't hurt to ask. You know, the only questions that you won't that you'll regret are the ones that you don't ask. Hard time finding kinship in or kindreds in Michigan. Well, here's the thing, you know, if there isn't something already established in your area, then there's a likelihood that there's other people around you looking for the same thing. And the best way to go about that is, if you can't find a way or find a place to call home, then make a place and make a way. You know, make a way to call home, make a place to call home, and you're very welcome. It's all good. But yeah, so like, you know, for me in this area, like we had a, you know, we've always had Raven Hearth, and I love those people. You know what I mean? For the most part, over the years, there's things that happen, whatever. But for you know, consistently speaking, for the most part, I've become very good friends with Greg, and become close with some of their other members. But that at the time was not where I wanted to align myself to, you know, join that group. And so I made something of my own, you know, and that's terrible. I eat those words now. Made something of our own, right? Had a vision of something that was meaningful, and shared that vision, and other people have come to work towards fulfilling that goal, right? So I planted the seed, right? That's all I could say. So think of planting a seed in your area, perhaps. John says, with permission, would like to invite anyone here to find and friend him on Facebook. Well, there you go, John. Your request has been granted. Permission granted, sir. You know, check it out. For anybody that's in the Florida area, or just in general, you want to have another heathen on social media to be friends with. I believe his name on the platforms is the same. So there you go. Social media has become a really beneficial thing to helping grow and network. You know what I mean? I had somebody ask me the other day. I had somebody message me on the Midgard Musings Facebook page and asked me the other day if they felt so what they said was they are misanthropic. They're a misanthrope. You know, so they don't like crowds. They don't like people generally. They tend to shy away from gatherings and that sort of thing. And their question was like, you know, is this something that is like looked down upon in Norse heathenry? Because they were kind of a newer newer heathen. You know, I guess approaching this path relatively young, relatively new to the way. And yeah, so what they said was, does it contradict? That's what the word I was trying to think of. Does it contradict heathenry? And I said, no, I don't think so. Kids are going crazy, Michael. Well, we'll be here, man. Take care of what you got to take care of. Hail and welcome to you, Billy. Billy McKinney. Here's another guy that I've been friends with now for years and years and years. Everybody that watches the podcast, the big Vegvisier banner that's behind me. This is the guy. Billy McKinney is the guy who got it for me way back in the some of the early days of Midgard Musings. And he's in North Carolina. Getting the feel about how they are. Yeah, Billy. Not remembering exactly where you are, but Appalachia, Roaring Gap, and some of those up in the mountains up there. You know, you've got good people up in that area. You've got Papa Olafson, Fjallvatier Workshop. You've got Zeb Kroom of Skogormor, as Papa said it. But Skogormor is Zeb, Nordic folk music. So he's up in that area. And yes, sir, you're welcome for the shout out, dude. Thank you for, again, being such a great friend, such a great guy and supporter for so long. It means a lot. But yeah, going back to it, I said to the guy, I said, you know, I don't think that being misanthropic is something that, I wouldn't go so far as to say that it contradicts heathenry, right? There are certain aspects of heathenry that really only work when people can get together and gather, right? So when you talk about things like bloat, sumble, especially, you know, I mean, you've got to have people around you for it to do those things. Now, can you perform solitary bloat? Yeah, absolutely. You can offer things to the gods or to the Vatir, or to your ancestors solitarily. You know, you can't have sumble by yourself. Obviously, you've got to have at least a couple of people, to have sumble. But there's plenty of things about heathenry that you can do as a solitary practitioner and achieve much of what heathenry has to offer by doing it. And I say that because one of the most important things that, as I've talked about here on the channel and on the podcast and wherever before many times, is the importance of developing our individual cultic practices, our hearth cults, right? That is absolutely a solitary thing. If you don't have a family or someone else in your life that you that you're comfortable practicing with or that wants to practice with you. So yes, there is absolutely solitary aspects of heathenry that you can be misanthropic and do well in your practices. Just realize that when it comes to really embracing everything about heathenry, there is the need to assemble. There's that functionality of the collective that is required to experience it. Middle North Carolina. Okay, yeah. So you know what I'm talking about. What's up there, Daniel? Hail and hello to you. Thank you for tuning in. Social media has been great. Disease in some ways. Yeah, sure. I mean, look, not everything is there. There are good parts and bad parts. You know, a lot of bashing towards other religions, and it is made people hateful. You're right. Well, it's a free for all. You know, people can't be held accountable when they're just given a platform to spew whatever the hell they want. Right? It's easy and it runs rampant. What's up, Attila? Just now tuning in. Well, hey there and welcome. Thanks for coming by. Double-edged sword when it comes to social media, especially harmful when it becomes an angry echo chamber. Yeah, exactly. People feed off of that, you know, and it's wild what social media fosters and allows for. You know, you'll get more engagement, you'll get more things happening on your social medias when there's arguments and when there's dissension, you know, and all of those types of things. That when that's the things that's happening, you'll get more engagement. When it's quiet, peaceful, you tend to, it's like crickets. It's crazy. We'll see you over on YouTube there, Daniel. What What did you miss, Michael? I was just talking about misanthropy and the person who reached out to me a couple of days ago asking if misanthropy and being misanthropic is contradictory to heathenry. And I, just as a recap, I said, no, not really. Because there are aspects of heathenry that involve your individual cultic practices that you have to establish yourself, that, that it is a very singular focus on things. But there are also elements of heathenry that just can't be experienced unless you're in a group setting and unless you're with other people to do it. Things like bloat, sumble, being very specific. You can bloat to the gods or your ancestors or Vatir, of course. So individually, that falls under individual cultic practice. That falls into the category of hearth cult, which everyone has to establish themselves as a thing. But you can't have sumble by yourself. You can't do sumble by yourself, and you can't really understand the social obligations that heathenry carries with it, because it's tribal mentality. You know what I mean? It's very tribal, and without having a tribe, without having that group of people who rely on you and who you rely on, all of your luck is tied together. You have so much that's happening and going on daily, on regular basis, that if you're not in a group, if that sort of thing's not going on, then you're just not experiencing it to the fullest potential. So to answer your question, Michael, that's all you missed. So there's your recap. As a reminder for anybody that is just now tuning in, Shadow Moot's coming up here in October 13th through 15th. So be reminded of that. It is $45 for the long weekend, the 3-day weekend. You can come Friday, get your camp set up, stay over through Sunday. They close ritual. They do a closing ritual, and they close the grounds off on Sunday afternoon around lunchtime. But it is $45. It includes meals, includes all the classes. You've got vendors, there's games, there's ritual. If you're only going to come one day, it's $20 for the day. And I would suggest you come on Saturday, the 14th, because that's when all the good stuff happens. What you got there, John? Let's see. Do I practice 9 noble virtues regularly? Great question, but I would not say that I practice them, because that goes into a whole other thing that really sparks some controversy. So, and we'll talk about it, right? Because what else are we going to do? So the 9 noble virtues. I've done short form content. I've done long form content on this topic in the past. I don't subscribe to the 9 noble virtues, mainly because the fact that is they were codified. These words were codified as a sort of heathen, like a heathen 10 commandments kind of thing, way back by the Odinic Rite, a known fascist organization, and they're buzzwords. Are they inherently heathen? No, not really. There are certain things about the 9 noble virtues that I think would be considered as like a short, condensed version of heathen ethics, morality, and so Dingo's, he himself doesn't practice the 9 noble virtues. It's good structure, can be dogmatic in some ways, tribal heathen and a traditionalist. Yeah, look, I mean, again, it goes back to kind of when I first got into heathenry. That was the big thing, you know what I mean? Like everybody was like posting pictures about it and talking about how their ancient, Viking morality and ethics and this and that. Billy agrees with Dingo's. Do I take them seriously? No, I don't take them seriously personally. And again, the reason why is that look at some of the things, right? Honor, sure, but honor in what context, right? To live with honor in ancient Germanic heathen times meant something different than what people use it in context nowadays. You had honor if you were living upright, morally upright, if you were doing things lawfully, if you were doing things that could contain and be maintained in a social construct, a social order. And if you were outside of that, you would have no honor. Some people nowadays, I think, use the term to be like, almost like a, I don't know, like some kind of like a warrior ethos or something, like you have to defend your reputation. And yeah, sure, that's a thing, because reputation back in the day was everything. If your reputation was harmed, your honor was threatened. But like courage, yeah, what is the other one? I mean, some of them, again, they're not inherently heathen. Sure, they might contain some things that are about heathen ethics and morals. But if you want to, there are better sources. And right off the top of my head, and I'll probably get some shit for this, but Eric Wodening's "We Are Our Deeds" is a much better rundown of heathen ethics and worldviews than ever trying to just condense it into the NNV. Okay, so if you want to start somewhere and then learn more about heathen ethics and worldviews, "We Are Our Deeds" is not bad per se. It's a little bit dated, and I know there's been people who say certain things about the Wodening brothers. I don't even think Eric or Swain, one of them, they're not even heathen anymore. They renounce their heathenry. But is what it is. So yeah, the Three Bridges Kindred over here, it says that they're too Christian-like for me, and it's too dogmatic. End of the day, it's not my hall, not my call. Thank you. I mean, like I said, we're talking about me personally, and you're asking opinions. Have a great night, Luna. Thanks for tuning in. And evening to you, Fact Bean. Yeah, it goes back to again, not my hall, not my call. You're asking me an opinion, I'll give it to you. I'm not going to tell you to ignore them or stay away from them. And please don't take just my word for it. Don't leave this live stream and be like, well, Jesse said I should not take them seriously, so I'm not going to take them seriously. I mean, find out for yourself, right? Please do your own research. Please do your own homework. Please go the distance. Do the thing that shows that you're a free thinker, independent thinker, that you're not just this mob mentality. I'm going to go with whatever the latest trend is, or that the biggest person on YouTube or whatever other platform is saying. Take it what I'm saying with a grain of salt. Bring your previous religious beliefs into a new spiritual practice is unhealthy and cultural appropriation. I think about that. Bringing your previous religious beliefs into a new spiritual practice is unhealthy and a cultural appropriation. I don't think religion is a cultural thing. I mean, I think that there's things about religion that do fall under certain cultural beliefs or ways of living. But I mean, there's things about the way that I was raised that are not inherently heathen or Christian, but they were part of my religious practices, and there are some of those things that have never truly left. And maybe it's not so much religious as it is spiritual. I see those two things as different, right? I look at spirituality as being things that we do with our people, the folk, our nearest and our dearest, dealing with even the unseen, right? The spirits and whatnot that are around us that aren't necessarily visible to the naked eye. And then I look at religion as the things that involve the sacred, the divine, the gods, right? Whatever you want to call them. And thank you for asking, John. Richard McCune, what's up, brother? Love you too, man. Hope you're doing well, holding the fort down, living a temporary bachelor life, as I heard. You're holding it down by yourself for a little bit. That could be fun. End of the day, it's all Proto-Indo-European. There's so much that you can trace roots back to Pi, Proto-Indo-European belief systems. And somebody, a bunch of people were mentioning too before about the NNV, and now they're so dogmatic. I would like to say, just as a seed to plant and as a thought to put in people's minds, that there are certain things about Germanic heathenry, actual Germanic heathenry, there is dogma. There are some things in heathenry that I've found, at least, that are dogmatic, in the sense that you can't. There's no wiggle room. There a lot of what I think people that come into these alternative, non-traditional religions or faith ways come into with a mindset of is that it's pretty much just a free for all, right? Like I can just do whatever I want, however I want, whenever I want. And while again it goes back to not my hall, not my call. You do you. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that if you're doing it this way, you're wrong, or any such thing like that. All I'll say is that at some point in time, there were things that were done a very certain and specific way because that was the only way that it should have been done. For example, I'll just say that and the source is evading me right now, but there was talk or in one of the sagas, I believe, or maybe it was a skaldic poem where it talks about this guy who was Christian, traveling and going on some sort of mission for the king or doing something. And anyway, it was around the time of winter nights. It was around the time of when the people were celebrating their house bloat, which for the Swedes, as I recall, was a closed off, family only affair. There were no outsiders allowed, to the point that when this person came seeking shelter, seeking hospitality, like, hey, can I sleep here for the night? Can I get some rest? Can I whatever? Like, he was turned away, like hardcore, like, get out of here. We are in the middle of our house bloat, and if you stay, you're going to incur the wrath of our gods, or Odin's going to kick our butts or something. Like there was definite, like, we will not. And you got to think, like, at that time, how much hospitality was a strong part of the Germanic people's worldviews, right? Hospitality, it was centric to their worldviews. At that point of the year and at that time of the year, it didn't matter. You're not family. You're not part of us. Nope. Figure it out your own. You're out. And that's dogma. Like, that's dogmatic, if you want to consider it like that. So favorite kind of pie. Ooh, now we're getting to talking about pie. Ancestral luck. I mean, yeah, good stuff. Getting caught up on some of the contents. Bell beaker culture. I think they were the ones who also developed into Celtic culture and others that gave rise to many as well. Interesting. Bell beaker. I'm not familiar with that. What is that? Will I even get an answer? Or am I going to get throttled? Bell beaker culture, also known as the Bell beaker complex, is an archaeological culture named after the inverted bell beaker drinking vessel used at the very beginning of European Bronze Age, arising from around 2800 BC. Huh. The bell beaker culture was partly preceded and contemporaneous with the corded ware culture. Oh wow, this is some proto primal stuff over here. Primal. Yeah. I'm gonna do some more research on that. This is fascinating. Bronze Age Britain. Thank you, Dingo. Corded wave culture, cool. Or corded ware culture, cool. There we go. All right, so we got some people that are definitely privy to this. That's a new thing for me, so I learned something today. 500 years ago. Yeah, goes way back, boy. Almost to the beginning of time. No, I'm just kidding. I know time is way older than just the last few thousand years. I keyed. Expansion and corded ware contacts. Very cool. Neat. I'm gonna look more into that. Thank you guys for the mention of it. And you know what? Me too. Like I've gotten more animistic with my beliefs. And I think by default that kind of takes you down the path of these primitive tribe cultures and things now that coming from the Yamalia culture. Okay. But yeah, like I've taken a more animistic approach to my heathenry that the Viking Age era stuff that you always see pushed in pop culture and media these days. It's all very fascinating. The sagas and the stories are phenomenally interesting. But I get more back into the ancient roots of things. Indo-European culture is very fascinating. I agree, Fact Fiend. Agony of Polymos. Wow, this is also very cool. Agony of Polymos. Oh. The struggle, physical, spiritual, and eternal, through which identity is formed. Polymos refers to war. The king and father of all, according to the ancient Greek philosopher Heraclitus. It's all there. It all comes there, yeah. See, I usually have a lot to talk about with regards to most anything. And I am rendered speechless on some of these things. So thank you guys for giving me some really good material to investigate and look into. I'm going to look at that real quick here. So yeah, I don't care about that. Give me this. Oh, Polymos. What is? Okay, hold on. Let me go back. I'm getting ads upon ads upon ads. So yeah, Greek mythology. Very, very rich tapestry of stuff. So Polymos was a demon, a divine personification or embodiment of war. Is Richard McCune still hanging around here? Because when it talks about angels and demons, that's Richard's wheelhouse. He was here just a little while ago. The pro-Socratic philosopher Heraclitus describes Polymos as both the king and father of all, with the capacity to bring all into existence and to annihilate. Maybe I'm mispronouncing the names, but I'm trying to do the best I can with what I know. Heraclitus Polymos reveals the gods on the one hand and humans on the other. So there's this duality, I guess, to him. Fragments leaves things unclear as to whether Heraclitus thought of Polymos as an abstraction of God or a generalization of war. And the ambiguity is perhaps intentional. Well, it's the Greeks, right? Richard, it was Polymos. Polemos. Polymos. In Greek mythology. Funnelbeaker culture is a culture that was a Neolithic with a mix of Mesolithic populations. Very cool. I love that. Neolithic, Paleolithic art and culture fascinates me too. I missed your comment here, Dingo. The Koreos warband is a theory that helps explain how the Yamayaya spread west, north, south, and east all the way to India 6,000 plus years ago and absorbed the Funnelbeaker culture. Cool. Yeah, Richard, when I heard demon, I was like, hey, that sounds like something me and you've talked about in some of our various philosophical and religious conversations. Richard here does Enochian practice, or has more of Enochian beliefs, or leans more towards that type of stuff. And he and I have sat for hours watching YouTube videos and reading, going through books. And yeah, he's a demon guy. I've sat with my mouth on the floor, just like, the Book of Enoch. Yeah, man, you want to talk about some really fun mythology and stuff. It definitely was a yum. Yeah, I'll take your word for it. Never heard of it. Never heard of her. Yamnaya culture. Let's see here. Yamnaya, also known as the Pit Grave culture, was a late Copper Age to early Bronze Age archaeological culture of the regions between Southern Bug, Denislier, and Ural regions, the Pontic-Caspian steppe, dating to 3300 to 2600 BCE. It was discovered by Vasily Gordstov following archaeological excavations near the Donalds River in 1901 and 1903, and its name derives from its characteristics burial tradition, and then it's so it's a Russian adjective that means related to pits. Oh, okay. Yeah, I recognize the Cyrillic letters. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. So that backwards R says ya. And the letter H looks like an H, says N in the Cyrillic letters. Carlos Fidela. Okay. Thank you, Fact Fiend. You are a fact fiend. You're like a goddamn walking encyclopedia. And I say that with all due respect. That is so cool. I feel like now that I'm looking all of this stuff up, I'm gonna start getting inundated with ads and content on my socials about Neolithic and Mesolithic and Paleolithic era stuff. Which, hey, if that's the way the cookie crumbles, then I'll eat it up. And the dude has Odin vibes. You ain't lying. Gone way over your head, Michael. Well, guess what? Me too. I'm having to learn as I go here, so trust me. I'm faking it while I'm making it, and doing the best that I can. So yes, thank you, Fact Fiend. And Richard says, hit me up tomorrow. Not doing anything on drink. Whatever. All right, cool. Yeah, man. We'll see what I got going on. I know you're running the bachelor life for the weekend while your wife's out of town, and I know how that goes. So I'll see what I got going on. I'll hit you up. Thing is, okay, so where I'd say they buried their men facing west and women east. Very interesting. Maybe as a representation of men going west, maybe, and women starting the future generation. New day. That is very cool. I like that. Very, very, very ritualistic. Who's got Odin vibes? Who said that? Dude up here in the in West Tennessee here. Dude, girl, chat. I'm sorry, I don't want to misgender you there, but Scotty Gemini says that dude's got Odin vibes. Don't we all, just a wee bit? Maybe just a tad. Still got both eyes. Oh, Fact Fiend. Yeah, I think that they're making reference to Fact Fiend. Just being, again, like a walking book of knowledge. Did have an eye issue several years ago. Yeah. All the obscure facts. I mean, they are obscure, but it's fascinating. I like obscurity. You know what I mean? And I also like Obscura. That was a band, or is. A band. A band of metal. A metal band. Right up my alley too, man. I don't know, I'm trying to think of the most like one of the most like funny or obscure facts. You guys ever heard of fart runes? I know that's pretty childish. But have you guys ever heard of fart runes? And if so, I won't bore you with the details. But talk about like funny and obscure things. That's one of my favorite. Yes, fart runes. What flavor is my vape, John? It is this right here. I think it'll possibly show up. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, let me see. Let me turn around there. Graham cracker. It is graham cracker flavored. Yes, fart runes. Okay, so give me a minute. I'm going to find it. Said I am, and I will. What the F are fart runes? You about to find out. Been a heathen for about 2 years, need to know more about fart runes. Don't we all? Even farts can be mysterious. Oh, yes. Yes. Well, let me. Thank you. So here we go, right? Reciprocity. Reciprocity. We talk about that in Germanic heathenry a lot, a gift for a gift seeks a gift. But what we're talking about specifically is it's mentioned in it's probably something from like I think it might be from the whole if it's the Hold manuscript or Galderbrook. So again, not something specifically ancient per se, but and I can't post a picture of them in the comments, but what it says is that you are to write these stabs. There are specific types of stabs or runes or whatever that you write on white calf skin. And you have to write it with your blood. You rouse your blood from your thigh, right? And you say, I carve you 8 ass runes or os runes, 9 nouth runes, 13 thirst runes, which are to afflict your belly with great shitting and shooting pains. And all these may affect your belly with very great farting. So 8 os runes. So we're talking younger Futhark, right? You got to go 8 os or os runes. You got to do 9 nouthese runes, 13 thors runes, and it'll render you gut busting good time or bad time, whichever you want to look at it. Yeah, it still sounds like a fart drop. Sounds like a fart box trying to achieve Galder. Well, you know what? If you found this helpful or you found use for this, I'd be interested to know. So there you go, reciprocity, right? Here we are learning about some really interesting proto, cultures, ancient Neolithic, Mesolithic, Paleolithic, all these great ancient cultures. And my gift in return was to tell you about fart runes. So, gift of equal exchange, my ass. I do what I can. Yeah, it sounds almost satanic. It's wicked, man. Wicked. Who would do such a thing? To rouse blood from your thighs. Whew. That's alarming. Leave it to the Icelanders, man. They are called, here's what they're called. You can probably Google it and find out more. But there you go. Fret Rune. I don't know. I've never translated that, transliterated that, you know, but the gift that feisty, the gift that keeps on giving. Hey, and sometimes it's the gift that keeps on giving in the ways that you don't want it to, right? You only got the Richard vibes there. You big, you walking, talking D word, eh? The D man. It could, man. Like it could definitely be. It's amazing, no matter how you slice it, right? It's amazing in more ways than one. It's amazingly hilarious. It's amazingly morbid and kind of disturbing, but just amazing overall. I agree. I would agree with that for sure. We did. We had a pretty good discussion. Was it a week or two ago on runes specifically? It was Patrick was on the live stream last time, and he's not around tonight. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure he would be here. I think he's out celebrating his brother's upcoming nuptials, getting married. So he's out there doing the bachelor thing. Thor likes weed. I found out. Well, I think I knew that, but thanks for sharing that with the rest of the class, Dingo. Yeah, that's useful information. I mean, I'm right there with the big guy. You know, weed is awesome. Earthy humor is awesome. Keeps you grounded, right? Keeps you grounded. And stuff. Things and stuff. Speaking of runes, I do want to let everybody know that if you're in the market for getting a new rune set, I am in the process of making some to help fund something that I talk about periodically. Excuse me, here periodically is Fire on the Mountain, right? So, tribe Liberty folk of mine is we are making the pilgrimage east to North Carolina later this year, and to help fund the trip, I am crafting and selling rune sets, Elder Futhark rune sets. But I'll make any rune set. You know, if you are wanting a younger Futhark, or you wanting Anglo-Saxon Futhark, or you're wanting dwarven runes. Ooh, speaking of which, all of you Tolkien fans here, I've got a set of Kirith runes. What is everyone's favorite rune row? I'm assuming you're talking Elder Futhark, younger Futhark, Anglo-Saxon Futhark, medieval runes, Armenian runes, Kirith runes. I'm about to show you something as best as I can here on the camera, because I have a box that I have yet to finish. It's because I've got, let me try this. But I have a box, some leather in there, a whole big ass box full of runes, eh? Now you may be wondering, that's an awful lot of runes. I don't know if you can see it or not. No? There we go. Well, no? Yeah, maybe? Come on. Come on. Come on! There we go. Alright, that's about as good as it's going to get, folks. Whole big box full of runes. And it says that Baruch Hassad. Hassad I Manu. You guys know what that is? If you're a Tolkien fan, you should. But I have to finish this box. There is some more wood burning and some more crafting that I have to do this. I've been sitting on this for years now. Hadn't finished it yet. but that is going to be for sale soon. Ordered a set last week, so excited to get them. Feisty, yes. I think I know who you are. So the set that you ordered, I'm glad. It's funny how things work out, right? Your set should be completed this weekend. And I know I gave you a turnaround of a week within when they're ordered. I ran into an inventory issue where the materials that I use for the sets, the wood pieces, were in short supply from my normal supplier, so I had to go outside of my normal area to obtain the rest of the pieces to make up your set. And of course, with the upcoming Labor Day weekend, there will probably be a delay in the shipping. I should have them finished tomorrow. And Labor Day, the post office and whatnot, I'm sure they're closed, so they should be going out to you on Tuesday and arriving to you hopefully before the end of next week. Apologies for the delay, and so if this is who I think it is, then your rune set will be on their way within the week. So yes, going into this, favor the ones made that hey, Dystopia, thank you for commenting. Welcome to the live stream. Favor the ones that I made. I made you a set of runes, apparently. Elder Futhark. Okay, great. Glad you still have them and that they are serving you well. Fact Fiend prefers our Armenian runes, writing a few names using them. So Guido von List is the inventor of the Armenian runes, as I recall. All good and in time. Okay, all in good time. Thank you for understanding, Feisty. And like I said, I was actually going to send you a message on Facebook about it just to let you know kind of where we stood on things. But it's fortuitous that you are here on the live stream, for which I'm allowed the opportunity to tell it to you in more of a personal fashion. And anyway, Kirith runes, right? The Kuzdul, the language of the dwarves in Tolkien lore. There's a bunch of them. There's like 30 some odd or more, I think. Kirith runes. And that whole box contains them all, according to the documented sources of that Tolkien and his estate over the years have kept of the dwarven runes. So, all neat. Oh, buddy. Wow, man. It's good to see you, man. Good to see you on the live stream, dude. Much love. And I'm so glad. I know the runes of which you speak, and I know what occurred for the exchange of you getting those runes. And so for him to favor the runes that I made that are Elder Futhark, I believe they are driftwood. That means a lot. It means a lot to say, and it means a lot to know that this is who is saying that. So thank you. Good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. But yeah, the Kirith runes, that's a whole box full of them. I don't have a projected sale date yet because there's more work that I want to do on them. Right? So I'm going to actually, you know what? I'm just gonna reduce some of this. I feel like there's some lag going on here and there, and I may have too many things going on at once. Got a little bit of an ambient glow going on over here. So anyway, this box of Kirith runes are going to be up for sale at some time, one of these days. And hopefully it'll reach the home of an adoring Tolkien fan. They're made of birch as well. So yeah, great seeing everybody. Just want to say thank you for everyone tuning in on the live stream tonight here. We've been streaming now for just about an hour. As a reminder for anybody new coming in or popping in. We've got a couple of things in the Middle Tennessee area that are near and approaching heathenry related. There's the General Bragg Trailhead location in Murfreesboro, where Greg Strong and I will be hosting an introductory class on heathenry. That is going to be on Sunday, September 10th at 3 p.m. Central Time. It is a public event. It is family friendly. Please, if you want to bring your kids, there's a playground right there. The pavilion is covered. It's roofed. So even if it's pouring down rain, we'll have shelter. There's bathrooms right there on the pavilion. We have the space rented out to just us and anybody that wants to come to that event. There'll be a banner that's flying. The Hlurthy Folk Bind Rune will be out there. And then later on in the year, in October, there is the Raven Moon Hearth Shadow Moot event in Springfield, Tennessee. That is October 13th through 15th. It is $45 for the weekend, $20 for the day pass. If you just come for one day, I highly encourage you to come on Saturday the 14th, because that's when all the goodies and fun stuff are happening. Workshops, classes, ritual, the whole nine. Are the Tolkien runes made up by him, or did he derive them from history? Yes, he did derive them from a variety of Germanic languages, right? So the Kirith runes are an amalgamation of different runes. Some of them are entirely made up, but a lot of them do have their look, their appearance, their the symbols that are made that make up the Kirith runes are inspired by Anglo-Saxon runes. So some of the runes that are a part of that alphabet, the Dwarven language, Kuzdul, do not, like, just because one rune looks the same as an Anglo-Saxon rune, they don't carry the same phenom. They don't say the same thing phonetically. So they just look alike, right? So a little bit of both, right? Yes, they are made up, but they are also inspired by actual runes. A lot of the Tolkien stories, like a lot of his lore is heavily rooted in European folklore and mythology. So if you're a student of any of those things and you like Tolkien, you'll see mirrors, comparisons and stuff. Good night to you, John. Thank you for joining. Thank you for coming by. Stay safe down in Florida. I know the hurricane season is heavy, hitting heavy. So for you folks out down there in Florida, stay safe. Don't be a hero. Don't stay places that you shouldn't. Just get to safety. If they're talking about heavy duty stuff coming your way, then please take care of yourselves. All right. But yeah, well, I guess if we're just here, just chilling, I mean, I'm happy to answer questions. Or I didn't have much of anything else to say. I think we talked about a lot of great stuff. I know Dingo, Lightfoot U, and Fact Fiend and others really brought up some great topics that I'm gonna investigate more into. I'd like to learn more about these cultures. Really happy to have Three Bridges Kindred represented here in the live chat as well. West Tennessee in the house, the West Tennessee Heathen Horde, right? Representing us and good people out there. So great to have you. Found this in a novel is the word Dalkenheim. Does that mean anything? What is that? Let's see. Dalkarheim? Maybe I'm misspelling it. Let me try this. Wiesbaden is the second largest city in Hesse after Frankfurt am Main. I don't know if there's any context behind that. Found this in a novel. Dalkarl. Maybe I'm misspelling it. Not finding anything of note. Chilling to the ramblings. Oh, Daniel's back. Or he's here. What's up, man? Helps to think of my own heathen-related craftings I want to do. Awesome. Love being a muse as a way. Great to be here with other heathens. It's great to be in good audiences. I'm now Dalkarheim. What book is that from? I'm not finding anything about it, and I don't know if I've heard it. I mean, anywhere. Dalkarheim. Huh. Maybe it's a made-up thing. What's the name of the novel? Maybe that'll help. Rival Caesars. Desmond Dilg. A pseudonym for the infamous Arthur Desmond, who wrote the still controversial Rival Caesars Roman Ambition. I'm gonna look more into that. That's news to me. Thank you, Fact Fiend, for once again bringing some dense meat to the table for us to chew on. Billy says, nice to virtually meet all of you. Lots of interesting things never heard of before. Yeah, same here. Right? Lots of new reading to do. Have a great one, Billy. Thank you for joining, and thank you for all you do to show your support. Desmond League. I'm still looking into more of this. Chapter 4. Dalkarheim. Yeah, there's a lot of references to the book itself, and there's some videos about it. As far as the Desmond Duke Rival Caesars. I don't have like a book of it to look at to see if it's a novel. Okay. Rival Caesars, Desmond Duke, free download. A Romance of Ambition, Love and War. Tale of a vice president, a major general, and 3 brilliant and beautiful women. Published in 1903. Is it fiction? Is it nonfiction? Does anybody know? It's a novel, so I gotta assume it's... Okay. Okay, well, I'm gonna look more into it. See what I can find about it. The name or the word itself, Darkelheim, doesn't strike a nerve to me or ring any bells. Daniel is thinking about forging an iron Seidstaffer. Only made one in the past for a good friend. One of my favorite projects I've done. Cool. So you're an iron worker, or somebody who works in the forge. That would be really interesting. I've only ever wanted to work, like when it comes to like ritual items, I've only ever wanted to work with things of organic nature. Like, I mean, and I know like iron and these metals and ore and all that are naturally occurring too, but like I'm talking like wood, you know, wood, bone, fur. that sort of thing. That's bronzesmith too, ironsmith and bronzesmith. Fascinating, man. Are you do you have a business, like, a service, something that people could commission work through you? Or is it more of just a hobby, side project, do things for people kind of as a gift exchange sort of thing? I mean, or to what capacity are you a bladesmith, or sorry, an ironsmith, bronzesmith? That's interesting. All right, so based on fiction, okay, so based on the rivalry of Burr and Hamilton, maybe Scott Shaw might know the rough meaning, if there's any. Could we could pick his brain again? Dark, what is it? Going back here. Dalk, Arl, Haim. Like Haim, in terms of like a word, is to me just something that means like home. Maybe it's a compound word. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe, I mean, who knows, right? I will log it down, and I'll log it down and do some research about it more, maybe, see what I can come up with. I might reach out to Scott and see what his read on it is. Cool. So you're a hobbyist and considering selling some of the items in the future. Ventured lightly in selling foraged campware. Nice. Bet there's a market for that. Reducing items with meaning is enjoyable. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that people who, not just heathens, but just people in general that get into crafting of any sorts, whether it's ironwork, woodworking, metalworking, crochet, sewing, drum making, weaving, right? Anything that kind of puts your hands to objects and you make something out of it, it is very therapeutic. Like I make rune sets, and while I'm not like cutting branches off of trees with saws or anything like that, like there's still crafting that goes into it, and there's an artistic expression that is shared, right? Oh, there's Patrick Walsh. What's up, man? Late to the party as usual. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with you, man. I know you got things going on. Well, it's good to have you here. But yes, everybody say hi to Patrick. He's out there busy doing stuff with his brother, who's gonna get married. Yay! Thank you for hopping on, Patrick, and saying hi. It's good to see you here, and thanks for stopping by. But yeah, it is very rewarding, to craft something with your hands. And even if it's not, something that you do, as for sale, if you can make it a business and make it a livelihood, then great. But I think that the focus at first is more of like how enriching and fulfilling it is to start from something that really has minimal shape and form, to add something to it and give it its own life. You know what I mean? Give it its own expression. These basic pieces of wood, whether you're carving it, whether you're burning it, drawing on it, painting it, I talking about like just random items. I still have rune sets made from seashells that my wife picked. I believe they're from the Gulf shore of the United States. I forget if it was a Florida beach or an Alabama beach. It might have been the Atlantic beach, but I think I want to say it was a Gulf beach. And I have some runes that rune sets that I painted runes on the sea shells. Neef just got into silversmithing. Nice. Neef, I might have to talk with you more about that, my man. That's interesting. Appreciate organic materials. Bigger crafting problem is not having enough money or long enough time to master more forms. Ain't that the truth, It is so time consuming, and it costs a pretty penny to really get into it seriously, you know. Fortunately, I don't rely on the sale of rune sets and things to make ends meet. It's I do, like I craft them, and my time is worth something, and the material is obviously worth something. So, but I have plenty of times exchanged rune sets for goods or services. I'm all about that. It's not necessarily how much can I get out of this to line my pockets with. It's what's it worth to somebody, and I put a value on it, based off of shipping and handling and cost of materials and time spent and all that. Like that's the monetary value that I place on my stuff. But to the person receiving it, it could be worth so much more. It could be priceless, so it really comes down to what's it worth to that person, and if things speak to them, then what they're, I've even had people been like, "How are you charging so less? How are you charging so little?" For rune sets. I'm like, well, first of all, I'm not making them to earn a living. It's a service, you know what I mean? And I'm really just kind of covering the basics of my time and shipping and material is mostly what it covers, and a little bit of the time that it takes to do it. But they are labors of love, you know what I mean? Rune making inspired to make wands and scepters. Awesome, that's great. I'm touched and humbled to think that something I did helped inspire you to get back into crafting, and that's great. Always wanted to get into forging, just wasn't my forte. Bushcraft, dude, you talking like creating like shelters and huts and things like that out of natural growth and things? That'd be so much fun. I'd love to take a class or do something like that, like whether it's an afternoon or a day or a weekend, whatever, workshop of bushcrafting. Found the box on the Internet Archives. Copy the passages and questions. We'll leave it in the comment section below. Sweet. Thank you, Fact Fiend. We're glad to have you here, Patrick. Hope you're having a good time doing golf and stuff. Yeah, we're just out here, man. We're just out here chilling like villains. It is a Friday night, and it's a beautiful Friday night. We're finally in September, right on the end of the blue moon. So tonight's the third night of the full moon cycle. So we've got basically one more night of full moon glory. I hope wherever you are, you're getting to enjoy it. I'm going to take a brief break, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends from all regions and all realms. Going to stretch my legs, use the restroom, refill my drink. I encourage you to do the same. Don't be stuck so much to me here, and doing everything that we're doing. But I will be back. I'm going to leave something for you here to watch and listen to while I depart. And as Sky the Gemini says, keep the silver bullets around in case of werewolves, especially on these full moon nights. You never know when one or more might just pop up. So we are here live on Midgard Musings, Facebook and YouTube, just chilling out, just talking. So many great people here hanging out with me tonight. Thank you all so much for all of your support. I'll be back with you all here in just a few minutes. Stick around. Don't go nowhere. Share this video around if you guys want to keep getting people to come in and talk. Love to hear from them. I will be back here shortly. See you here in a little bit. right, everybody, welcome back. I'm back, at least. Fall, yes, my favorite season. Oh, Fact Fiend, me too, dude. You know, and hate is such a strong word. I dislike the summer vehemently. This Northman, and I don't mean that like ironically. Like I mean I'm literally born and raised in the North. I like the cold. It just suits me better. And so this hot, humid Southern junk is oppressive. Small hobby, maintaining a small log dugout and a small hof. Beautiful. I would love to have land and property enough to do that. We don't experience it long here in Tennessee, do we? Scott the Gemini. It's like you get summer, fake fall, and then like a week of winter, and then it's back to like summer again. Yeah. Covered altar box. Okay, cool. I thought you meant like a whole like temple, a whole like hall or something, you know, that you built like a structure. Hof, like a temple, in that context. Yes, very cool. We're having false fall again. Yeah, man. Like you saw the forecast, I'm sure, for for this week coming up back in the 90s, a few days at least. We got teased a little bit, you know, little tease at the tip came at us with that cool. Like I woke up the other day and it was like 59, 58 in the 50s. When I woke up in the morning, I was like, "Oh, baby, yes, daddy." The South has like 8 seasons, dude. The South has like 2 seasons, summer and not summer. But it's bipolar because in the summer when it's not summer, it could also be. We've had snow tornadoes, or snow thunder. I've heard thunder in the middle of snowstorms. Thunder snow. It's a thing. Daniel's in Ohio. 5 months of summer, 1 month of fall, and if we're lucky, 6 months of winter. Well, depending on where in Ohio you are, man. Like, I mean, I know far up into like close to, you know, Michigan and stuff. Like winters up there can get pretty dicey. You're up like in the Toledo area, southern, southern Ohio. You know, close to Kentucky. You know, you're going to be favoring more of the the southern ways of the seasons, the southern seasons. But yeah, fall, autumn, love it. It's my favorite. Best time of year. My birthday's in November too. Feisty. Um, I am a Scorpio. November 11th. I get my birthday off every year because it's Veterans Day here in the United States. Yeah, love Tennessee, but hate the weather, dude. I moved from Tennessee, and I say, dude, like generalization. Don't. Some people get mad. I'm not a dude. Everybody's a dude. You know, girls, guys, non-binary. Everybody's a dude. But I moved from New York in 2005. I'm gonna be in Tennessee for almost 20 years here soon. I may not like the seasons, but I like it in Tennessee here. I've met some good people, and it's good stuff. Ooh, nice. 14 acres, wooded mountains. Not enough flat land. I get that. Not all land is prime land to build on, you know. Not without a lot of like excavation and work and stuff. Wait, you're November 11th too? We got two 11/11s here? Get out of town. No freaking way, man. You're in June, all right. 11/11. Ah, man, by Odin's beard. I don't think I've ever had that happen in the conversation, even in person, where I've talked to people and they're like, that's the same birth date. Well, skull. Cheers to a fellow 11/11. That's pretty Smurfy. as a friend of mine would say, Greg Strong at the Raven Moon Hearth. He likes to when things are kind of cool, he'll like, hey, that's pretty Smurfy. And that was a bad impression of Greg for anybody that knows him. So sorry in advance. Born and raised in the South, yeah. My wife's from the South too, you know. She doesn't like the cold. Go figure. An honorary Southerner. I'm a transplant. You know. Cool. We got 11-11 and we got a 6-6. If I'm 11-11 and you're 6-6. That's a Slipknot reference if you didn't know. When I'm 5-5-5, you're 6-6-6. What's it like to be a heretic? No maggots in the house. Wife birthday 11-11. Nice. All right. Wow, we're learning all kinds of things about each other here. We got ironsmiths, bronzesmiths. Anybody here last name of Smith? Just kidding. Yeah, honorary Southerner because I transplanted here, right? And you're also born and raised in the South. So apologies in advance for the North getting in on your stuff again down here, guys. Not to dig up old dirt or anything. Hello there, Kristen. Hail and welcome to you on a Friday night live stream. We're out here talking about just stuff. As a matter of fact, we're here. Awesome in Skull, Feisty. Yeah, up in the UP, I believe, as I recall, right? You're up there in the Michigan, and here we are on a live stream, and we just found out that we have the same birth date. So it is such a small world, you know what I mean? I will be at Fire on the Mountain on my birthday. Damn, Yankees leaving out the sugar in tea. That's great. That's great. My wife, every time we go up to, which isn't often, but like whenever we go back, the first time we ever went to New York, and this was her first time there, and we sit down at a restaurant. She's like, they asked her what she wanted to drink. She's like, I'll take a sweet tea, and I'm like, oh no. And then the server's like, a what? She's like, y'all don't have sweet tea? We have iced tea. Yeah, and they bring cold tea with sugar. She's like, what the hell is this? I'm like, hey, baby, this isn't the South, man. They don't know. They don't jive like that. You know what I mean? It's iced tea, and if you want it sweet, you mix it in there later. Got a wife with a maiden name of Smith. All right, so we got some Smith representation going around. Know a man with a Mary Poppins. It's my favorite movie as a kid. Matter of fact, I wore the VHS tape of Mary Poppins out. What was the name of his other leg? Yes. Wow, what a stroll down memory lane. As long as I'm not a Yankee defined as someone who hates the South and Southern culture. Gee, whatever, man. I don't hate anybody who doesn't deserve to be hated. Again, it's such a strong word, and hate to me is like one of those things where like you had to have done something directly to me or my tribe, my clan, for me to want to have hatred towards you. And I can only think of a couple of people. I can count on one hand the amount of people that have invoked that amount of emotion out of me my whole life. Say, yeah, sweet tea. It's like the nectar of the gods down here, man. It's the nectar of the southern gods. And I've had some really damn sweet tea. I'm like, how can you even call this tea? It's sugar water. No disrespect. I can't get down with it. I'm like, I need to taste the tea at least, not just the sugar, But hey, if that's your jam, if that's what you like, then I say, don't let anybody knock it. Visited family in Detroit. They would just bring a glass of ice and shake. See, Detroit's totally okay. You got to understand, right? Just because you're north of the Mason-Dixon, not all Northerners are treated the same. You got your Midwesterners, like Michigan and Ohio, Indiana, and them up there. And then you got Minnesota, right? And then you got your East Coast, your Northeast Northerners, which are the the Yankees and whatever you're gonna call them, like totally different kind of northerner. We don't call our sodas pop. The Midwesterners do. People in Michigan, where you're at, feisty. You know what I'm saying, right? If you're from the UP and you're from Michigan, you know it's pop. We don't call it that. Now in the South, when I first got down here, yes, Mary Poppins, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. When I first moved to the South, I said, I think I went to I don't know what it was. It was might have been like a Sonic or a McDonald's or something. What do you want to drink with that? I'll take a Coke. Yeah, okay, what kind? You mean what kind? I want a Coke. Coca-Cola. Coke to me is Coca-Cola. I thought they were asking me, like, what kind of, like, flavored Coca-Cola, like vanilla Coke, cherry Coke. Oh, you got flavored Coke? I didn't realize that in the South, like, Coke meant like any kind of carbonated soda. Back up home in New York, I'm like, well, if I want a Sprite, I'll ask for a Sprite. If I want Coca-Cola, I'm gonna say Coke. Didn't realize, when I came down to the part of Tennessee where I moved to initially, that Coke is like this universal term for any carbonated soda. What's up there, heathen nerd living in the South? Prefer your tea unsweetened and hot. Ah, another aristocrat in the chat, I see. Well, hello, good sir, with your unsweetened tea, hot tea. I bet you like lemon in your tea, don't you, Mr. Earl Grey? I'm just kidding. I'm just playing. Don't measure the sugar with nothing. You measure it with your heart. Hey, you measure it with... You pour it until your ancestors tell you to stop. Am I right or am I right? Pop is law. Listen to what's going on here. Michigan calls it pop. Grandma's from there. Yes. It's pop, not soda. Soda's for baking. All right. We're going to get heated now. Kristen's from Ohio, born in Pittsburgh. They said pop. See, Pittsburgh says pop too. See, that's weird because they're like on the other, they're on the other side of they're more. Well, I guess they're kind of close to Ohio, right? They're kind of western, midwestern Pennsylvania. I don't know. It's been a while since I looked at a map. Lived in Kentucky all his 30 years. Fan of sweet tea. Bourbon, on the other hand, shoo. Now we're talking. What's your favorite bourbon, Michael? And don't say Jim Beam, unless it's your favorite. No hate. How about we compromise? Call it fizzy water. Yeah, let's spicy beverages. Beverages that bite back. Get a little skaldic poetry with it. Get the BBBB. Get the repetitive nature of the meter. Right. Beverages that bite back. Bang bang. I've lived in Georgia, North Carolina, and Ohio. And he still votes for pop. All right. Gonna die on that hill, I see. Drinking more sugar than sweet and no pitchforks. Yeah. So your tea, can you really even call, I mean, sure, like you've got some Lipton bags in there, but like if it's like, 27 pounds of sugar, and I'm exaggerating, can you even call it tea at that point? Dandy heathen nerd. That's how we're gonna call you, heathen nerd. Justin, what's up, man? Lemon and tea is fire. It's not just good, it slaps, as the kids these days will say. I got to getting into lemon in my tea when I was when I had a friend. Well, I still have a friend from Russia, and they would do tea with lemon. Chai s limonom, he would say, which is tea with lemon in Russian. I drink my tea with unsweetened too. I love good herbal teas, and if I'm gonna sweeten an herbal tea, I'll sweeten it with honey, natural honey, not that honey substitute. In the South, a pop is a smack in the mouth. Yeah, that's what your nan always said, right? Yeah. Talking about some beautiful tea justice. I'm gonna smack your mama in the mouth. My wife loves that movie, Smokey and the Bandit. Stay hydrated indeed, no matter what. Drink water. Water is life. Lagos, baby. Get a pack of peanuts and pour them into a glass of Coca-Cola. I've heard of this. Glass bottles is better for the process. You got to get the good Coke, man. You got to get that Mexican Coke. That Mexicani Coca-Cola. You know what I'm saying? It uses the real cane sugar. Yeah, that's right. But I've heard of the peanuts and Coke thing. And oddly enough, I've lived in Tennessee and lived in the South for this long. I've never tried it. Maybe I need to now. Maker's Mark, 4 Roses. I'll accept that. I'll get behind that. There's way worse things. Maker's Mark, can't go wrong. 4 Roses, can't go wrong. Good selection. Herbal Tea's favorite has a chamomile with local honey. Yeah, yes. Outside of traditional tea, hibiscus is my favorite too. Ooh, nice. I'll have to try that. I have a place here that provides some like locally grown and sourced herbs and things. Orange blossom honey, delicious. Ooh, hibiscus mead. I'm going to your place. Hello there, Taylor R, who just became a member here on the YouTube channel. Let's give a round of applause to Taylor. Thank you so much, Taylor, for popping in and becoming a new member. Really appreciate your support in that degree. Mexican Coats are the best and cheaper. Yeah, man. I don't know what it is, but like the ones that come in the glass bottles, it's cane sugar. It ain't that corn syrup junk that's so mass produced. It's got to be that real cane sugar, man. That stuff down there from the barrio, man. Look, I'm the white. I'm just playing, guys. Don't get excited now. Feisty's an herbalist and loves making different blends of tea. I love going to these different shops that have different blends of teas where like you see like flower petals and stems and all kinds of cool stuff in the blend. Like they just throw it all in there, man. And that's where the flavor is. I think, and that's where the healing is. I think that's where the nutrients and stuff like that are, right? It ain't like grinding it all down and sifting it all out and throwing some of it away. All of the good stuff that's in these ingredients exist in every part of it. So when you see these compound, like everything put together, stems, leaves, petals, all of it, like, yeah, man, I feel like I just want to like wad up a piece that and stick it down in the bottom of my lip and nurse on that for a bit. You know what I'm saying? Hibiscus mead. So there's a very popular brand of mead that you can find in a lot of liquor stores called Viking's Blood. I think that is a hibiscus mead. Now I don't like Viking's Blood so much anymore because it's just way too sweet. Like there's just too much sugar, honey. Like the sweetness level of it is just way too much. But I think Viking's Blood, the Dansk Mjord brand, I think it is company, Dansk Mjord. I think it's the Viking's Blood. It's not bad. I mean, it ain't the worst thing I've ever tasted. It's just, I think that has hibiscus in it. Keep glass bottles and use them for incense holders. That's innovative. I like that. Herbalism is fascinating. Yeah, man. Like anything when it comes to like, I'm a big incense resin. I use incense resin a lot for my personal rituals. So the long incense sticks, like I use them on like my shows and stuff. But like when it comes to like ritually burning incense and taking in the essence of what the resin can offer, I like the actual resin stuff. And I love mixing like frankincense with myrrh or copal with benzoin or Palo Santo with sage or pine resin or whatever. It's alchemic, man. It's really cool and I love it. It's magic. Yeah, glass bottle soda is the best, no question asked. So many Mexicola bottles, it's a problem. What do you like? I don't know, saving up for them, thinking that they're going to be currency one day, Neef. But I used to do the same thing. I used to hold on to those glass bottles because it feels nostalgic, so I get it. On the way to Sweet Page with the Viking's Blood Mead. Yeah. Yeah, it is hopped. Yes. Love to try hibiscus mead. Only made one from local wild honey, blackberries, and raspberries. I want to get into mead making too. It's so easy. You can make it for on the cheap, you know. But you can also get really creative with it. Obviously, we got nettles and peppermint. Tea. I've heard people that put tea bags in their mead while it's fermenting. I forget what it's called, but it does something to the process. Yeah, lightly back sweetened spice with sweet oranges. See, look at all this stuff: citruses, blackberries, raspberries, fruits. Dragon Dancer likes to gather some of their own resin. Yeah, man. Look, if you can locally source stuff, or gather it yourself, then even better. A lot of what I get is ordered. I mean, just it's ordered online. You know what I mean? But I try to find. I try to get it from sources that are. If I can't get it myself, that it's at least supporting another person who does get it, right? I try not to get stuff from places that are big corporation, conveyor belt, Amazon, whatever. Like, yes, I have ordered it through Amazon before. Not saying that I don't, but whenever possible, if I can support local or small businesses, so like if people have resin that they collect themselves and they're selling it, I would rather support them than these big, corporate conglomerates. Scotty made a batch of mead, accidentally left it on the lease for too long. Someone told me it tasted like liquid jet fuel. Use it for altar mead. You know what? You can still find purpose for it. And I think that that's an important thing to remember, is that it's not a waste. If you goofed up, if something happened, if it isn't consumable by people, if it's not enjoyable, you can still put it to use, because it was still work that you still put work behind it. You still did things to make it what it was. So I think the gift, using it for ritual purposes on an altar, whatever, I think that it still would be beneficial and worth using it in that way. Your Githya sometimes makes her own, I'm assuming, resin blends or mead, maybe. Learning experience, yes. Well, that's what matters, right? Learn from it all. I mean, like I said, I've mentioned before, like I want to get into making mead, but I've never done it before, and I have friends that have done it. I know people in the Hearth, Raven Moon Hearth, obviously now here, Three Bridges Kindred, everybody else here commenting along the way that have been making mead. There's no liquor stores in your area, Michael, that carry it, so you make it yourself. Also, you live in a dry county. Look at you, rebel, doing things, breaking the law. So I mean, people are actively about it, and I want to do it for our tribe, to have maybe not necessarily something to like drink all the time, but something to have for ceremonies and stuff. And of course, I want to make it drinkable. I want to make it good as best I can. So a lot of good ideas here. Come back and glean from some of this from some of you folks who have been doing it for some time and have the experience. So thank you for sharing. Opened a Nano Beer brewing company years ago. Mead was always my personal side project. Nano Beer, you're talking about like microbrews? Is that what you mean? It's really big up here in like East Nashville, East Nasty. Got them hipsters out there drinking that jet fuel, going, oh, it's so good. I'm tasting hints of leather and, toe jam or whatever. I don't know. But cool, microbrews. Yeah, I went to Small Before Blue. I went to a thing one time where it was like a party, and the people that hosted the party had purchased a bunch of kegs of microbrew IPAs and other various like high gravity beer kegs. I'm talking about, right? And when you talk about like one or two kegs, like a keg would do well for a small party. And they had like 4 of them, and it was all high gravity stuff. So there was like plenty of beer to go around. We got invited to this party, and they're like, if you want to take it, you just have to pay us back for it, to get the keg empty, the empty keg back to the brewery when you're done. I'm like, I'm gonna take a 100-pound keg with me, but I'll drink as much of it as I can. Brandon Hummel on Facebook with the stars, I believe. Thank you, Brandon. I can't see your Brandon, excuse me. I can't see your comment, but I want to just say thank you. Usually when these pop up on the screen here, that means that there was a star or super chat or something or donation. So thank you, Brandon, for popping in and saying hi and supporting. If it's an emoji, if it's something, whatever, thank you, no matter what it is. But thank you for commenting. Thank you for being here. But I still have my drinking horn, and I filled the drinking horn up with some of that high gravity beer. When I say high gravity, I mean high alcohol content, right? Like it was, whatever an average beer is, 6-7% alcohol ABV. This stuff was like 13-14%. And I filled up my pint-sized horn and drank like 2 of those suckers, in like an hour. And I'm like, whoa. I need to stop or slow down. And then here they were like, oh, take it with you. I'm like, take a keg with me? Give me a break, dude. Thanks, but I can't. Ever in Tupelo, Mississippi, highly recommend Queen's Reward Meadery. Their meat is fantastic, and it's a small business too. Thank you for the recommendation, Skyly Gemini, out there in the Three Bridges Kindred, representing the Three Bridges Kindred in West Tennessee. So Tupelo, Mississippi is very close to Memphis. For any of you folks out there that don't know or that are curious, you're not that far away. What's the other one? It's Tunica, where the casinos are, right? But Tupelo isn't all that far away either. Tobacco infused beer. Yeah, I think if anybody told me that the beer that they were offering me was tobacco infused, I probably wouldn't drink it voluntarily. I was just given something and said, here, try it. I would give it a go. But tobacco infused beer, I mean, I'm intrigued, I'm curious, but I'm also a little apprehensive about that idea. Had mead that had coffee in it. I did too. Yes, tastes like chocolate. I had a coffee mead that was made. It wasn't made locally to Tennessee. It was a meadery, I think, in North Carolina, and I had friends bring me back a bottle. And it has like a very cocoa kind of chocolatey, back end flavor to it. Rarely catch the lives in real time, Brandon. I'm glad that you're here. We've been streaming now live for, goodness, 2 hours. So you kind of lucked out. I started this a couple hours ago, and we've just kind of been rolling. So thank you for being here. Definitely worth the drive. Cool. To Tupelo, Mississippi. Want to make Hellbore infused ritual beer. Dragon Dancer, what is that? Hellbore infused ritual beer. You want to know something that's really fun for ritual? You guys have ever heard of Chamba? It's pepper infused high grain alcohol, or pure grain alcohol, really. And it's big in like the Caribbean, or I think in like like Caribbean cultures. It's called Chamba, so I've heard. And I had a bottle of Chamba that Greg Strong made for me one time, and it was infused with jalapenos, habaneros, and Carolina Reaper peppers that I provided for him. So you basically just get like PGA, Everclear, something pure grain alcohol, and you put your peppers in it and you let it just sit for however long. It's not meant to be drank. It's not a consumable beverage because again, it's such a pure. It's high alcohol content. But it's meant for ritual purposes, and we used it as a ritual. And I remember doing like fire breathing for a ritual one year, and so like the heat, the peppers, the capsaicin that is drawn out from the peppers when it infuses in the alcohol, obviously it burns your mouth and it creates this really euphoric feeling for the ritual. So it's awesome. It's really just pepper infused PGA. If you're ever thinking of doing it, I would recommend it. It's fun. It's new. It's neat. It's a variant of things. And I use it in a ritual one time where I breathed fire, and that was exciting. A couple of buddies never told me what it was. Just handed me a beer and said that's the troll was real. I gotcha. Hail and hello to you, Papa Heathen. Trying to figure out who I was reading comments from and found it. Well, good to have you here, Papa Heathen. Hellebore is a toxic plant in the wrong doses, but gives you a mild hallucinating effect in the right dose. Ah, ooh, okay. Well, yeah. When you figure it out, I'll take a sample. Normally drink juice on my rituals. Kind of put myself in a bad place with alcohol. Normal juice. Okay, yeah. So we're talking about stuff that involves alcohol consumption, and there are plenty of folks, heathens and non-heathens. Basically, Papa, moonshine, but so you could use something like that if it was high enough of a percentage. We're talking about things. Everything is consumable once. You can jump out of a plane with no parachute one time. Yes, and yeah. So the drinking things that are of non-alcoholic nature because alcohol is not an option for you for a variety of reasons. Totally respect that, and it's not necessary. Like for instance, the chamba thing. You're not drinking it. You're ingesting it to the point where it's in you're putting it in your mouth and then spitting it out. That's really the purpose behind it, because again, it's such a high grain, high gravity alcohol. I mean, we're talking like upwards of 200 proof, 150, 175 proof pure grain alcohol. It doesn't taste good. It's not meant to be drank. But you infuse it with these peppers, and what it does is the capsaicin from the peppers that is extracted for the alcohol creates a bit of a euphoric feeling. If anybody here has ever eaten super hot peppers or really, really spicy food, when you get past the initial burn sensation, right, it creates this sort of high. Your endorphins are working overtime to try and cool you off, right? You're in pain, you're in distress, so your endorphins are pumping through your body. So it's an endorphin rush, it's an endorphin overload, and it creates a very euphoric, high sort of feeling without consuming anything that is toxic. You're not consuming alcohol to get drunk, you're not consuming cannabis to get high, you're not consuming psilocybin to get that sort of trippy effect, LSD, anything like that. It is naturally occurring in plants, and so that euphoric feeling, yes, you have to endure pain to get to that, but if you can muscle through it and you can get through it, the endorphin rush is so euphoric, and it's perfectly legal. It's it may be a bit masochistic, sadistic in a way to put yourself through pain for pleasure, but no judgment here. Fact Fiend says all things are poison and nothing is without poison. Only the dose makes a thing not poison. More Greek philosophy, Pericles. words to live by. There's fact to this, I think. All things. If you consume too much water, if you drink too much water, water is life, right? You drink too much water, you'll drown. You'll smother yourself. You eat too much food, you'll make yourself sick. You consume too much alcohol, you'll be poisoned, right? But those are things that in moderation and in small doses are just fine. Even things that are of a toxic nature. Now, I don't want to say that you should just experiment with anything that is highly toxic, like, some of these poisonous mushrooms that can definitely do you in. Just saying, to Fat Fiend's point, there are. It's definitely a point to take away. Papa Heathen says that he tells heathens that the exchange of energy is represented by the sacrifice. So while alcohol is the go-to, it is not necessary. That is great advice. Anybody watching right now, this here, screenshot this, save it, put it in the memory banks, share it around. But this right here, yep, this right here, screenshot that. This right here, share it around, make that a thing. It is represented by the sacrifice, and while it is a popular option, a popular go-to thing, it is not necessary. Do not think of yourself lesser for being abstinent from alcohol. What's up, B. Michael Junker from Scandinavia? Wow. On a live stream for the first time ever, I think. I can't remember the last live stream that we had here on Midgard Musings where we had a Scandinavian person in Scandinavia. I believe, B. Michael Junker, you are in, I believe, Denmark. Correct me if I'm wrong. But if you're not in Denmark, you're in, you're a Dane, I believe. So hail and welcome to you, sir. Thank you so much. Swiss alchemist. Sorry for the miss. It looked Greek there for a second there, Fact Fiend. So thanks for keeping me honest. Dystopian over here at Neef again has been alcohol free for 23 years. Definitely not necessary. Congratulations on your alcohol free lifestyle there, Neef. Congratulations. Good for you. Yeah, mushrooms you can definitely eat once. There are some mushrooms that if you eat them, you will only eat them once. It's like I said, you can jump out of a plane without a parachute successfully one time, for very sure. So it's kind of the same thing. What is it? Feisty says that they've given water as an offering. When you had nothing else, the energy and spirit of the gift is what's important. I'm going to come back to that here in just a moment, get through some of these comments. Some mushrooms will keep you full for the rest of your life. There you go, right? Even if the rest of your life is for the next 20 minutes. Papa is the Gothi of Ravenbahn out of Kentucky. All right. Hail and welcome to you, sir. I've not become aware of Ravenbahn in Kentucky yet, but here I am now for the first time. So for any other Kentuckians in the area, here you go. You've got their Gothi here in the chat. Skyly again, Gemini says rarely drinks alcohol, so go-to is usually whatever he has. Raisins and first servings of a meal. Ingenuity. Michael is also, I think, in Kentucky. Thank you, Michael. B. Michael Junker. Best, hello, Voodoo Viking. Hail and welcome to the chat. First time commenting here on tonight's live stream. Says best ritualish experience I've ever had was after conducting human suspension. The endorphin rush was unbelievable. Please be aware that nobody here on this chat, myself, is endorsing mutilation or self-harm in any way. But what Voodoo Viking is talking about is a controlled and protected and governed form of body modification. Human suspension is a thing, and I can only assume that the feelings that you have, the endorphins that are going through your body at that time are on another level. So when done safely and with the proper supervision, just like any other sort of ritualistic experience, I'm sure that there can be benefits to it. Really hot days offering ice water. Interesting. All over the place. Okay, cool. So Michael, there to your question is answered by Papa Heathen is in Western Kentucky. I do want to touch on something when it came to, I think it was Feisty's comment, who said earlier that they've given water as an offering. And then the Scotty Gemini over here in the West Tennessee, Three Bridges Kindred, kind of echoed that. Giving water as an offering when they had nothing else. I've talked about this type of this topic on my podcast before. When it came to offerings, the topic of offerings, the gift, and how I've seen people talk about like, oh well, here's I don't drink alcohol, but here's a Red Bull, that I'm going to offer, or things like that. And I've responded to things like that with a very specific response, right? And that is that a Red Bull, for all intents and purposes, a shitty convenience store poison-ridden drink to the gods or to your ancestors or to the spirits of the land or whatever, like really that's the thing you want to give? You can do better than that. Water is better than any of that, right? And so while what like Feisty is saying and what like Three Bridges Kindred Scotty Gemini is saying is that ice water offered on hot days, while that may seem minimalistic, very simple, very like basic, like, oh, why don't you give something better? It's natural. It's again, water is life, like it's the spirit behind the gift, the meaning behind the gift, the purpose behind the gift is what matters, Voodoo Viking is in Louisiana. Papa Heathen has a Facebook group and a Discord. Wants to welcome all in the Discord who wish to visit. Create the community as wanderers. So Papa Heathen, if you have a group or something you want to share in the comments, feel free. But you're on Discord and on Facebook. Please, I mean, like I say, we're all here chatting. So, I mean, if you have something to plug and you want to, there's plenty of people here that are potentially looking for a heathen home in their area, or at least exploring opportunities in their area. Michael Juncker uses energy drinks too. I mean, who am I to judge, right? Who is anybody to judge? I'm just saying, like, in the context that I was given it to at the time, I was like, man, dude, you can do better. Right? It was a singular sort of approach, and it was something that I thought was in the time and at the moment not given enough of piety to the gift, right? Yeah, but who am I here to say that you're wrong or whatever for it? Not my hall, not my call. A cold glass of water on a hot day is much appreciated. Absolutely, right? Giving a friend something to quench their thirst, 100%. All right, Daniel, have a great night. It is getting late. I'm probably going to wrap this up here soon too myself, but thank you for being here, and I'm looking forward to doing another one at some point too. Gift for gift, favor for favor, lie for lie. It's the reciprocity, right? A gift seeks for a gift. I mentioned this earlier on, I think, before you came on here, that people were talking earlier in the live chat about Neolithic, Paleolithic, Mesolithic civilizations and cultures, and I turned around and reciprocated that gift of knowledge with fart runes and the history behind that. One might say, well, that gift doesn't weigh out the same as the other because the knowledge is a bit more, it's satirical, it's ridiculous, it doesn't measure up to the same degree of information as what was shared before. But hey, it's what I had. It's what I got. What, you know, we're going to work with what we got here. It is often the small things that are the most meaningful. I think it's not the measure of the gift in the sense that, you know, it's better to not gift than to give too much, right? Like we see that repeated throughout heathen sources. In the Havamal, it specifically mentions that it's better not to gift at all than to gift too much or too little. Feisty, knowledge is knowledge. I'm a broken record with that. I mentioned it on yesterday's podcast, right? Wisdom is wisdom from wherever it comes. And that is a line that is, you know, echoed in Feisty's comment, knowledge is knowledge, but it's repeated in Bandamanga Saga, or it's said in that way in Bandamanga Saga, wisdom is wisdom, or from wherever it comes. 4 a.m. Boy, oh boy, you must be a night owl, or this is just normal for you. In which either case, I appreciate your involvement and your inclusion here. Bathroom rune sticks in the yeah, the was it the Northman, or the Norseman? Yeah, where he's got like the shit runes or whatever it was. Yeah, I wish they would come out with another season of that. That was hilarious. Yeah, you got to work at 1 a.m. All right, well, you have a good night, Michael. And everybody else here, when Odin retrieved the runes, he also retrieved fart runes. Hey, you probably, I mean, they were there. When you hang for 9 days and 9 nights on a tree, you're bound to break some wind, right? Has to have a laugh about being hung on a tree for 9 nights. You know? Yeah, the Norseman. Thank you. You're a Dane. Okay. So you're from Denmark. And I was right earlier when I thought of that. You're very engaging on the platform, V. Michael Juncker. And I hope I'm saying that correctly, because I know that the J in Scandinavian languages is more like the Y. So I hope I'm saying your name correctly, and I appreciate you being here tonight, this morning for you. I hope your Saturday morning turns into a great Saturday day. Phone's dying, gotta go. Hope to catch you again soon, Poppy Heathen. Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. And I thank you all. All right, cool. I'm great. I'm correct in that. Scotty Gemini says, when they were drunk off of their ass once, they offered half of my Taco Bell meal. Not my best moment, unfortunately. Hey, I think we've all been there, right? We've all done some things under the influences of one or more substances that in retrospect and in reflection, we go, damn. I hope the gods didn't remember that one, because I sure did. And I'm not, that was not my greatest of moments, right? I have a similar story. 1 year, and I'm going to tell this story, and then we're going to wrap this live stream up, because we've been going now for almost 2.5 hours, and you're all champions, and you're all beasts, and you're all amazing people for coming on and hanging out with me for this long. So I'm going to tell this story real quick about my first Yule that I hosted, and then we're going to wrap this up. Yeah. Taco Bell for Thor. Sorry for the sheets, my friend. So this was one of the very first Yule events that I ever hosted, right? I didn't have a tribe. I didn't have a local group of people who I hung out with very often or did many things with. I just knew some people in the area and the surrounding areas, and I invited like a bunch of people to my house. My wife's in my house. Feel free to put your Discord down in the comments there, Voodoo Viking, and I'll share it here for people to see. They're welcome to join. So I opened up my house to way more people than I should have. There was about 25 or 30 people in a house that, you know, should really only have at most 10, you know, so we're packed to the gills. And it started out okay, I guess. You know, it was a feast, it was a potluck, there was everybody BYOB, bring your own drinks and stuff. But then, of course, not very long after, you know, the feasting took place, you know, we already completed our ritual, so we weren't all, drunk or crazy off of our asses for ritual. So that part was good. But after the feasting and everybody started to consume more, things got way out of hand, and just emotions ran high. Like, there was no violence, nobody got like violated or anything in that way, but I got so drunk that night that I remember falling asleep out by the fire, and then next thing I know, I'm woken up with two guys like picking me up under my shoulders and carrying me back into the house, and I'm like, I was asleep. Like, what was going on? They're like, "Are you okay, man? Are you all right? Or did you die? Or did you pass out?" I'm like, "No, I was just out here sleeping by the fire." Well, they woke me up, and of course that kind of like revitalized me, and I ended up drinking more, and I ended up like almost breaking down one of the doors in our house because I locked myself in. I locked myself in a bathroom, tore down the shower curtain, fell into the bathtub. It was a drunken mess. I mean, I'm sure we've all been there. We've all been to events. We've all been either present for people that have gone that way, or we've either seen it or we've done it ourselves. And a lot of the people that were there that night, I've never seen again. I've never spoken to again. Matter of fact, there were some things that were my personal effects, gifts from meaningful people that I had stolen from me at that Yule event. So it was a lesson to be learned that these sorts of events, these sorts of things that we want to do to observe our holy tides as heathens, as much as we want to have a good time, as much as we want to celebrate the event, there needs to be checks and balances in place. There needs to be things in place to ensure that safety and security is maintained. And that particular event, there wasn't really. There were no checks and balances, and fortunately, nobody got severely hurt. There was nothing really bad that happened. I just made a fool of myself, and it was a lesson to be learned. So, have a good time, enjoy yourselves, be responsible. But at the end of the day, I think the biggest thing for me at that lesson was like, these types of events, if you're going to host them at your home, need to be restricted to a certain audience. So, that's all I've got. I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's live stream. It's been a great one, longest one that we've had in a while. So thank you to B. Michael Juncker in Scandinavia, and Voodoo Viking, and Fact Fiend, Feisty, Scotty Gemini, Papa Heathen, Michael Thacker, Daniel, Kagaris, sorry if I'm mispronouncing. Who else did we have here? We had Billy McKinney, Justin from the Heathen Nerd, Dragon Dancer, everybody who I haven't mentioned by name specifically. Thank you so much. Taylor R, who just became a member of the channel, Dystopian, also known as Neef, a good friend of mine. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in today and being a part of this live stream. Thank you so much for being here and stopping by, saying your pieces, engaging, being a part of this. And yeah, a birthday twin here, right? So when it comes time, I will be at Fire on the Mountain for my birthday, but we'll see about doing a birthday live stream a week before or after. And it's been fun. So thank you all so much for contributing, being here tonight for this late night, early morning live stream. If you haven't yet, please like the channel, subscribe to the channel, like the page, react to this video, do whatever the thing is, be engaging, support, follow, do whatever the plug is. Do all of those things. Really appreciate all of your support. And yeah, we will see each other again for the next Random Heathen Ramblings podcast next week. Not sure yet what that's going to be on, but if you guys are following the podcast, you'll see it when it comes out. So in the meantime, have a great night, day, have a great weekend. And we'll talk to each other soon. So may the gods continue to notice you. May your ancestors smile upon you. See you next time.